everybody, welcome to another edition of Natural Crafts and Recipes. If you love nature and you love crafts, this is the channel for you. Just grab your clippers, head out for a walk or even in your backyard, and I'm going to show you how to turn nature into amazing crafts. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make the cutest tabletop trees. They're fabulous for holidays, but some of them you can use as decor pieces throughout the year. So we're going to check out Pampas Grass, use some cedar, and of course, our go-to Grapevine Branches. So let's get started. So usually on the side of the road by kind of culverts or even fence lines, you'll find these wild Pampas grass. And all you need is a good set of clippers or even a good pair of scissors and clip about 4 inches at the stem line. And then that way we'll have lots to play with because we're going to use the stems as the primary point for gluing them on. Now we just need some very basic supplies for this craft. And the Bristol board, it needs to be a kind of a thinner thickness so that you can fold it. So what we're going to do is, depending how long that you or how tall you want your tree to be, just take a measure, use a string, and then use that string and pen to kind of create an arc. And then you're going to cut out the Bristol board, and simply all you're going to do is roll the Bristol board into a cone shape. And then we're going to use a glue, or you can use tape or a stapler, anything that will attach that outer flap to the main cone. And there you have it, a cone for our tree. So we're going to start off with the Pampas Grass tree. Just simply take the Pampas Grass flowers and glue the stalks to the cone. I've got about maybe a 4-inch coverage here, and as I said before, you're going to glue the stalks right onto the cone and make sure that the flowers hang over so that at the end when we clip them off around the bottom that they're not going to show any of the cone color. So just simply take your scissors or clippers and cut those flowers on the bottom, just making sure that they're long enough to cover the bottom. Instead of putting the second layer over top of the first layer, I'm going to take the smallest Pampas Grass leaves flowers that I can find, and I'm going to glue them so that they kind of form a peak at the top, and that's what's going to give it its tree shape. Because if we just worked our way backwards all the way up, we would end up with those stalks at the top sticking out. Then when we start on our second row, we're just going to make sure that we're giving enough coverage on that first layer that we're covering up where the stalks were seen. And put them close enough together to each other so that you're not seeing any of the color. I chose red cardboard just in case there was going to be some see-through parts, but I was able to do it so that there was nothing peeking through. So just keep them close together. And again, you can see that it doesn't really matter if the stalks are a little offset, because once we layer one stalk over the other, it's going to cover it. Now when we get closer to the top, as you can see, I am just kind of shoving in the stalks into where we started our top peak. So again, I'm going to get coverage over top of the cardboard. I'm covering the second layer stalks, and I'm also starting to join together the tip of the tree with my third layer. Once we finish the third layer, we're going to move on and try and fill in this little gap. Remember the ones that we cut off of the bottom? I use those to kind of fill in that neck section, or you can cut off an existing tip of a Pampas Grass flower and use that as well. So just take your glue gun and start filling in the neck part. And even though these fill-in pieces are a little small, they still have a bit of a stem, so there's still enough surface area to attach them and overlap them. So let's move on to make that cute little cedar tabletop tree. Now here are 2 types of cedars, and it really doesn't matter as long as you can grab some cedar. These cedars are nice and flat, so they work really nice as a base for the cone, and they have a contrasting color, the lighter side and the darker side, so it's nice for a contrast. Then you have this kind of thick, bushy cedar. It will work as well. It kind of adds this nice flare-up skirts to the tree, makes it look a little bit more natural when you lay them on. So just grab a bunch, bring them back. I also grabbed some wild berries. I like to use rose hips because they're really plentiful and normally on the side of the road. So just make your cone the height that you want, and then as we start laying the cedar, same thing, make sure there's some hanging over the end. And then once we have done that, add those little berries in. We're going to layer cedar over top of where you've glued them on. So just add a few points in. You can see as we get to our second layer and our third layer, we're basically at the top. So now we're just going to use a few little pieces to hide the tip of the cone. And there you have it, another gorgeous tabletop tree that you can use for the holidays. This third tree is a grapevine ring tree. So basically we're going to create a whole bunch of grapevine rings using grapevine branches, and each layer gets smaller and smaller. So you're going to make those rings a little smaller each time, and it forms the shape of a tree. So let me show you what to look for in nature and how to make these rings yourself. The first thing we need are grapevine branches, and they tend to grow everywhere. You can see this kind of arched shape that they have growing through the trees and bushes. Just clip some of them out, clip off the leaves and some of the tendrils, which are the swirly things that attach them to the trees that they're choking out. And then once you have these nice long grapevine branches, then you can use them to make these grapevine circles that we're going to use for our tree. Take the end and just fold it around. They might crack, but they're not going to break because they're fresh. So you're going to make a circle, and you're just going to tie that last little piece over and then under. And you're just going to kind of bend it and shove it through. Like I said, it might start cracking. That's okay. Just pull it right through. And then same thing, wrap it around and then pull it through. Okay. Wrap it around and pull it through. And just keep doing that until you've gotten to the end. See how it becomes this nice circle. And once you have this last piece, just bring it around and tuck it in. Doesn't matter where, you can open up and just kind of shove it in. So now you've got a complete circle. So simply make rings that are getting smaller and smaller, and you can either glue them together or wire them together. And then you have this adorable tabletop display of mini trees that you can use throughout the season. And you can use some like the Pampas Grass or the Grapevine Tree throughout the year as decor pieces. And if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe, because we have more amazing natural crafts for the holiday season and throughout the year.